Mr. Sewell, you're ready.
Positively. Hit it. That's how you become a student solicitor.
Meeting will come to order, please. The notice requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act for this meeting have been satisfied. Would you please take a second and turn off electronic equipment as we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
No taking any knees.
Attention, salute. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And Hannah, call the roll, please.
Mayor Becker?
Here.
Commissioner Amadeo?
Here.
Commissioner Blumberg?
I'm here.
We have before us for approval our September 7th meetings. That would be capital, workshop, and regular. What is your pleasure?
Make a motion we approve those. Second.
Mayor Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeo?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg?
Yes.
Okay. At this point, we will open for public comment. You have 3 minutes. You may discuss any subject at all.
Sewell, 22 West Drive. Mayor, your inept, incompetent, inefficient, and deficient leadership has cost taxpayers dearly. You have stonewalled virtually all attempts at shared services. Your wretched excesses have come home to haunt you big time. You hypocritically took several solemn sworn oaths to the one true God of the Israelites to uphold the New Jersey State Constitution with its clear written mandate for a thorough and efficient education. Instead, you've deliberately packed the Board of Education with parents with an unlimited sense of entitlements. It's truly the foxes guarding the henhouse. With patronage and nepotism rife, it comes as no great surprise that a most serious criminal scandal threatens your legacy, ignominious at best. Concerned citizens and property taxpayers alike demand you bell these vile criminal cats. When the feds and Atlantic County prosecutor dropped the boom, it's not time to run out and hire more patronage drones. Gonifs and grifters, we have aplenty. However, it's time to right-size the workforce. Keeping 2 schools running at far under capacity is a complete farce, sham, and shaft to the taxpayers. Mayor, adult octogenarians don't plan to fail, rather they fail to plan. Right now, this commission should be fully engaged in an energized interaction with Ventnor City to implement consolidation of both the school districts and fire departments. This initiative is long overdue. Mayor, you've proven yourself incapable of managing the municipal workforce. It's a tsunami of felonious criminal activity. Countermeasures to restore integrity and honesty are essential to reestablishing faith and trust in good governance. Mayor, you simply can't continue to condone and turn a blind eye to criminal conduct on such a massive scale. The only antidote is to dramatically reduce and scale back the entire workforce. So 50 years from now, people will be able to say, yes, once we had a bloated, inefficient fire department, but due to self-abusive criminal enterprises, it necessitated a consolidation with Ventnor City Fire Department. So, Mayor, I call upon you to do what needs to be done swiftly and surely. At the very least, consolidate down to 1 school this June, with an eye toward eventual merger with the Ventnor City School District. The practice of making 3 classes for every grade must cease at once. Fire departments in both Margate City and Ventnor have their chiefs retiring. Perfect timing for an immediate merger and shared services. The city clerk has presents for the holidays.
They've been distributed.
Art Cotelli, 114 North Lancaster Avenue. I'm glad John seemed to prime you on the schools and the 3 classes they made out of 39 kids. So there are 13 in each class, which is really poor. The previous school board president, Mr. Sless, I ran into him in the supermarket, and he said the number of 18 to 36 was 18 to 21 was an ideal class size. And he used to use 21 as his guide because that was the upper end. And now all of a sudden, we have a 19 and a 20, and that seems to be too big. It looks like they lowered the bar. So when asked about that, I guess John Sewell was the original asker at the last school board meeting. And when he left, I showed up, and they said, we'll answer John Sewell's, even though he wasn't there. And they said, what is the reason, DiNicola, for your choosing 3? And he says, because I would be breaking the law. So I went back and told John, this is your answer. And he, Freedom of Information, said, what law was he referring to? And he got shoved all around. Pelea sent them here and there and all. And he finally got the lawyer who said that the school board, the school superintendent has very wide leeway. So in other words, there is no law. It's just that he chose it. And what I'm worried about is, using 13, is he now has occupied a third class in a kindergarten, and that third 3 classes will remain through the entire 9 years they're in there, which is just occupying another room. And this will prevent doing this in every grade. This will prevent from combining to one school. And I thought that was the original plan, was to combine to one school, and that school was decided to be Thai. But now it looks like that's not ever going to happen, because three classes of 13 could go on for every grade, because we barely have 39 children in each grade. And it's pretty sad, because it ends up the players are the taxpayers, which are really, really going to get ripped again to pay taxes for the extra school classroom, and no law against it except that I choose what I want to choose. Thank you.
Thank you, Art.
Are we just talking about the school first, or can you talk about anything?
You may speak about any subject at all.
Okay, John Gottlieb, 109 South Quincy. I tried to go down the beach several times, wasn't allowed on my street, so I went down to Rumson, walked along the shoreline, and somebody came up to me and said, you can't walk along the shoreline. They blocked off a couple of beaches, blocked off the complete beach, not just the equipment. So, and the equipment has not been used for 2-3 weeks, maybe. My worry is that they're not going to finish this project. Now, we either have to let them finish the project so we don't go into next year, or stop the project and not have the project done at all. I don't know if this is a catch-22, because if you let them complete the project, then we're stuck with it. So we need to sort of plan on either getting it done and then maybe having something done afterward. But that's hard. Once it's completed, it's really hard to change it. So I'm not sure how you're going to approach that. I think something needs to be done, and you guys are going to sit down and talk about this, but we can't go into next year. It's cost the city an enormous amount of money, individuals an enormous amount of money, and so the guy called 911 on me. Nobody's ever called 911 on me, and the cops came and said, we sympathize with you, but what's your name? And they wrote it down. It's a sad situation, and we need a solution, and we can't just let them sit there. That equipment is just sitting there, and somebody's paying for that equipment. But what's that? We are. Yeah, right. I mean, of course we are. Anyway, so we need to do one thing or the other. I prefer they got rid of those horrible dunes, which is, they've defaced a magnificent beach, and we paid them millions of dollars to do it. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that just crazy? Anyway, it's not going to stop the flooding on the bay. Thank you.
Mr. Gottlieb, we all agree with you. I want you to understand that.
Yeah, yeah.
And we do have a meeting sometime tomorrow with the Corps and the DEP, and we will relay all those messages to you
Yeah.
and get back to you.
Yeah. All right. Thanks a lot.
Mike, if I may,
You may.
I might have missed a report, but it does seem, to Mr. Gottlieb's point, that they've been at Osborne, Pembroke, Quincy for almost 2 months now. And it seems to me that they're using that are they using that as a staging area? Like I said, I might have missed a report, but I didn't know that we were using those 3 blocks as a staging area, because I think that's what's happening. John, do you know?
No, they're really not. Do you want to hear my interpretation?
Well, yeah, no,
What they-
again, because I like, and I'm glad Mr. Gottlieb brought it up. I'm not sure myself.
They're telling me that they're moving the pipe now, which you knew.
Right.
Okay.
To Longport.
We've got 2 weeks of storms, and I think that is basically their excuse for they haven't done anything. Don't understand why. It's a real mess down there, and I certainly agree with Mr. Gottlieb. I'm on the phone every day, 2 and 3 times, and you get absolutely no answers. So you did not miss a report. There's just nothing going
Okay,
on.
no, thank you.
Anyone else? Public comment?
I'm Larry Campbell, Balsley Lasco Real Estate. We're located at 9615 Ventnor Avenue in Margate. I've got a few words to say here, and it's all targeted toward the Dune project. But in general, real estate in Margate, it's never been better. However, we've seen a slight dip both in rentals and in sales because a lot of the verbal negative attitude has probably caused a lot of that shyness with customers, okay? But the big thing is we need to attack this, and I know your meeting tomorrow is probably going to do this. The biggest thing I'm concerned about, okay, 2017 is pretty much over in many ways, but not 2018, and 2018 starts right out of the gate. So we need to somehow get some type of a negotiated off the beach date that's legally binding to these guys, so that we have some comfort, so that there can be better attitudes with everyone. How we do that, I don't know. I know you guys behind the scenes have got probably better techniques than me to do that, but it's imperative, in my view, to get that off the beach date to prevent that dip in 2018. And really, you know, our rental business is already starting for 2018, but, you know, the real drop dead is right after the first of the year. We really need to have them out of here. Now, the other thing is, what can we do if they don't complete it and if they just walk out? Can we do things in the city like grading? We can't do any of that probably while they're in progress, but we can do some things to improve things at minimal cost, in my view. But I may be wrong, because you guys keep the thing on the numbers. We have another problem that's just developed, and it's down in Atlantic City, but it's coming our way, and it's a nasty smell with the raw sewage that's just been dumped in Atlantic City. If you go over by Bader Field, you'll smell it, and it's going to hit the water and come right down. Now, I don't know what they can do about this, but I think it needs to be attacked with, possibly in your meeting tomorrow, there might be something that they can do to divert that stuff. I really don't know. But the big thing for us, all of us, is to keep the attitude strong, okay? Me as a realtor, I believe in Margate, and I really want to see nothing but good come out of this. It's inevitable. This Dune project it's happening, and we're going to have to accept it to a degree. But in the end, the real estate values they're not going to be affected in a negative way. After this shakes out, it's going to keep going up, not rapidly, but a slow growth. And we can feel comfortable about that with our community. But we've got to get over this impasse and try to see what we can do to nail down that off the beach day. Thank you.
Mr. Campbell, I agree with everything you said. There are things going on behind the scene that we're not able to announce publicly yet. I think we'll call them the other side, so I don't have to keep saying the Corps and the DEP. The other side has to be out of here by May of 18th. So it's before the summer. Hopefully they'll be out way before then.
I can't say. Start.
That looks a little shorter than 3 minutes. Do I get an
But
extra?
I'm in a very liberal mood today, so you're gonna make it up.
Thank you. My name is Lynn Gottlieb. John and I have been, well, John was born and raised in his house at 109, and we have kept it in the family all these years. And I want to reiterate what Mr. Campbell said. We are highly dependent on our rentals to finance this house. Big chunk goes to taxes and homeowners. Boom, you got to get some rentals for that. And so I can't emphasize enough, I hope you can use every bit of leverage you have to get them off the beach. I don't know which way is the best way to go. Is it through the courts? Is it politically? Do we get the new governor involved? What exactly would be the most effective way? That's kind of a question to you all after you've had your meetings and how successful you are at getting it tied down. Because I know the citizenry would do whatever they could to get people off the beach, the whole other side off the beach by next spring. And, my second question is, originally, when this whole project came up and everyone got upset in July because of the ponding and the pipes and the ugliness, you had a public meeting and you agreed to go back to court. And I believe that you, as commissioners, said we would not have ugly pipes on the beach. I don't know if you saw the picture in Down Beach Buzz yesterday of the outfall pipe, but it's really, really ugly. And we're gonna have 5 of those on our beaches, I think, and they look really industrial. So if you haven't already agreed to whatever plan the other side has for the drainage, I hope you will hold out and not take away the threat of suing them until they agree to make this aesthetically pleasing and demonstrate to you that it works. Because I want you all to have the most leverage you can in dealing with the other side. They've got a lot of leverage on their side. We are the little guys.
But we're getting stronger, Mrs. Donovan.
Thank
We're
you.
getting
I
stronger,
hope
really.
so.
And I agree with you wholeheartedly. I don't think any of us are for visible pipes on the beach.
Thank you.
Elaine W. Charney, 14 South Brunswick. I have been in touch with the mayor's help of giving me the information with the project manager. I've had several communications which I attempted to send to Mr. Becker. I don't know if he received them. And all my questions were not answered, and I got back kind of double talk. Well, the boat had to be moved because of the weather, but the weather's improved. We have a stack of the pipes that they were going to move that have been sitting on my beach for over 2 weeks, piled up high. There is a pipe that they used from the boat that was pumping the water that they cannot remove, apparently. They tried with a crane. It's still in the water, and it's open, which means a dog, a child, could get trapped in it. And there's no work being done that I can see. I have a question for you. Why is the disabled entrance at Andover when there are no residents on the other side of it? I questioned that, and he said that it was the decision of this group to put it there. If it were at a C Street, there'd be several people on several blocks who could get there. There's no handicap parking next to that entrance. It's on Atlantic Avenue. If you're really handicapped, how do you get up to the beach to even go over that accessible dune. And it's, as far as an outfall pipe, I don't think that they're that successful, and I just don't understand why you would think that you could agree to doing that. I think it's a terrible mistake. I urge all of you not to agree to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Stroni.
It's my first time. Mel Taylor?
You're a Margate resident, I assume?
No, I am from Ventnor, but I spent all of
I'm
my
kidding.
time in
No,
Margate
Yes,
because I love all of Absecon Island.
May I
Anyway,
have
it's
an
an honor to be
address,
here. My
please?
name is Mel Taylor, 4800 Boardwalk in Ventnor, New Jersey. I'm also the publisher of Down Beach Buzz, AC Prime Time, and Brigantine Now. A couple days ago, and we wanted to certainly thank you, commissioners. You guys have done a yeoman's job at doing the best you can against the state and all the outside forces. So first off, we want to make sure we let you know that we appreciate all the work you've done. Mr. Abbott and everybody, because you're up against a big, giant outsider that no matter what, you've got your work cut out for you. So we appreciate what you've done so far. Thank you. I did a petition just to kind of help you, and this is a digital petition, and I'll make this quick. A couple days ago, up online at Down Beach Buzz, we asked people to sign the petition. 519 people, verified addresses, email, real first and last names. And here's what it says. Should Margate continue its fight against the sloppy dune, beach, and outfall pipe work? If you agree with that statement, make sure to sign the digital petition. The signatures will be delivered to Margate commissioners at the upcoming Tuesday, September 26th. Meeting at Old City Hall. Taxpayers, business owners, and visitors wonder if summer 2018 in Margate will be negatively affected just like 2017. Margate must continue its fight against the sloppy dune, beach, and outfall pipe work. Taxpayers and business owners and visitors wonder if summer 2018 in Margate will be negatively affected just like 2017. Local real estate sales and rentals and retail and restaurants, they depend on beautiful and accessible beaches. That's why we need the Army Corps of Engineers, the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection, and all contractors off of our Margate beaches by no later than February 1st, 2018. Whether the project is completed or not. So I have 3 copies, and I'd like to put this onto the record. Thank you very much.
You can give him the Fred, please, Mel. Thank you.
The Gottliebs are piling on today. Dan Gottlieb.
You're allowed.
Who's that? Other John. Who is that?
That is my cousin. I would like to refer to him as Dr. Gottlieb instead of Mr. Gottlieb. But that's okay. I don't think he cares. So
Dan, I need your
Dan Gottlieb,
address.
407 North Nassau. I understand there might be some confidentiality issues associated with what's going on, and I respect that. However, the media has reported, and correct me if I'm wrong, perhaps Mayor Becker has been quoted as saying that we will be getting a drainage system from the Army Corps of Engineers that should have been in the project from the get-go. I don't think it should be a point of leverage or contention. It should have been in there anyway. And that one of the give-ups is that we will hold them harmless, sign some type of release to hold them harmless for some period of time. I don't know if that's until the end of time or for a week or a month or a year or 5 years or whatever, but what I'd like to do today, what I'd like to accomplish here, assuming we're inside the lines of the confidentiality discussions that are taking place between our legal team and the federal government and the NJDEP, what I'd like to get clarification on is, are we holding them harmless? If so, for how long? And I just want to make a commentary on that, and that is this. I have a sneaking suspicion, and I hate to be right, and unfortunately we've been right on a number of issues, and I hope I'm not right on this one either. I have a sneaking suspicion that they feel, what do we refer to them as, Mayor? The other side?
Yeah.
The other side? Yes. I have a sneaking suspicion that the other side has some grave concerns about the project. And I don't know what they are. But if they're asking us to sign off to hold them harmless for some extended period of time, that disturbs me, that bothers me, that concerns me. And I would just like to know within the borders of that confidentiality what can be said under the assumption that we've already seen media reports on this issue. Thank you very much.
Through the chair, Mayor?
Go ahead, John, then I want to say something
Yeah,
else.
may I? Thank you. Dan, I can assure you and all the residents in the city of Margate, no such issue has ever came to the table where the three of us were involved with negotiations with the DEP and the Army Corps of Engineers. The one thing I will say, and I will assure the residents that are here and had asked Dr. Gottlieb and Mr. Campbell, the project will be completed. It will be completed. We fought it in court. You know, everybody here lived through it. And we're all on the same table. We didn't want dunes. But at great fault, the Army Corps' design did not work. We all witnessed it. I called it a gift from God the night we got that 4.7 inches of rain and their percolation basin system, which none of us were happy with. Nobody wanted to take a natural resource and create a retainage basin on the beach and have to look at it forevermore. They failed. Their design failed. They went back to the table. They've spoken with our engineer several times. They realized that they screwed the job up. We have been in negotiations with them over the past month, Mike, talking about what the best solutions are to solve drainage problems that existed in the city of Margate for almost 40, 45, 50 years, as our public works director can attest, because he's been there that long. Thank you, Frank, for your service.
Thank you, Frank. Good job.
And the system dovetails off of a 1991 or 98 system that our city engineer designed. At that point, was a $9 million drainage system because we always had drainage issues in certain areas of the city. So with all that said, they came up with a plan to present to the city of Margate. Nothing's been finalized. Nothing's been signed off on. We're not going to agree to a hold harmless contract. We will have to accept whatever they put on the beach for our maintenance, operations and maintenance, because as you know, when you live on the sand or near the sand, it gets in everywhere. So there's a cost associated with it after its installation, but that's a little bit better than to have unscheduled overtime and a demand to cut a trench to get the water off our street ends, where now we'll be able to schedule, have the maintenance done in the off-season. There won't be a pipe exposed on the beach. It's a total underground system. It's under the sand. Nothing will be seen until you go to the mid-tide mark, and then you'll have outfalls. And it's dictated by the grades that our city's built on. We can't change our street ends. We don't have the money. We didn't have the money to make the repairs on the streets that flood all the time. We were looking in the future to put capital reserves aside to make the repairs. Maury, Mike, and I have had many conversations, and what we're trying to do in this whole program is get the best scenario for the city of Margate. And nobody wants outfalls, nobody wanted the dunes. There are some things that are inevitable that go hand in hand. We're still trying to negotiate positions of outfalls, where they fall out in, but I hope I answered your question. There's no hold harmless. We're going to have to accept the operations and maintenance.
Hold harmless has never once been on the table, Dan. I said that before, and as I said before to the group, we're getting stronger, and as John said, we're in a much better position now than we were 6 months ago, and we'll see. They have to be out of here by May of 2018, and that includes any additional work that they're going to do. And, you know, they have major concerns with what's going on here.
So if I understand what I just heard, I'll try to simplify it. They want to give us this drainage system, which should have been part of the plan logically from the get-go. They created a problem. Now they want to give it to us, and they're not asking for anything in return, as far as we know right now. They're not asking you to sign a project agreement, to agree to the agreement, and they're not asking you to not be able to go after them legally if things continue to be bad. And the only reason I'm asking these questions is because I have a feeling, and it's not scientific and it's not legal because I have a background in neither, but I just have a funny feeling that beyond the drainage, and I don't know what it is, but I have a funny feeling that they're worried, they're scared, they feel there's major design flaws. We know what they are. John just pointed out the biggest one. But I just have a feeling they know this project is in bad shape, and they want to get out of here and not have to come back to court.
Well, I would have to agree with you, and for the public in general, do you think they'd be sitting down with us now if they felt they were in a strong position?
No, but I just don't think, and it sounds like you're all united on the fact that you feel that we're in a strong position, and I think we should maintain that strong position, and that's the reason why I came here today, was to make sure that we don't give away our right to come back at these people if this thing gets messed up any more than it already is.
Well said.
Thank you.
Mike, if I may, Dan? Yes. For me, it is a matter of, and so I just want to answer, because I don't know that we did, the second point that you just made. And it is something that we're going to discuss today. It seems to me that they are asking for us to execute the state aid agreement, and in that they have included language to the effect that we're getting these outfall pipes. So that, for me, that is will be a matter of contention that I plan to discuss with our team. So I'm not real sure, because I too am not a lawyer. It is something that we have to further discuss amongst the commissioners and our attorney.
Yeah, I just want to say one more thing. I saw that language in a release that they put out, that they are going to do us this great service by giving us these outfall pipes, which I know we need drainage. I knew we need drainage from the get-go. I saw the language about them wanting us to sign the project agreement in exchange, and that, I know there's some other people in the room too that might want to comment on that, but I have some concerns.
Go ahead.
There is a state agreement that they have presented to us. It's a modified state agreement. I think before we get done, everybody in Margate will be happy with it. I'd prefer not to, but let's see what happens as we go forward. It's not the standard agreement.
And may I, through the chair? Go ahead, Rich.
Rich?
He's been waiting.
I think Dan asked one question that, I'm Rich Beatty, I'm the administrator.
Talking to the,
Yeah, let's get you on the record there, Rich.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Dan asked part of his multifaceted questions, as I heard them, was he was concerned that we couldn't get back at them, which was
Yes.
the part that when he said that we were going to release them, or whatever the word.
Hold them harmless or release
Hold
them.
them
yeah.
harmless. I wanted Scott, perhaps, as opposed to me, to just talk about the consent agreement that we've signed, because it's my understanding, and I would like Scott to address this, but we have every right in that consent agreement to go back at any time we want to Judge Baum and the federal government, as well as the state and Judge Mendez, if in fact it doesn't proceed the way Margate wants it to proceed. So I feel, and I want Scott to tell you, but I feel that we're protected in that.
Absolutely, Scott.
Yeah, I'll be happy to amplify that point. Is this on?
You're on.
Yeah, we can hear you.
First off, the Superior Court has maintained this case. We are still reporting back to Judge Mendez. And thank God, his decision is why I believe they are negotiating with us. And they are going to spend, I can't go into the figures, but obviously millions of dollars on Margate's drainage at the beach. And I don't think it would have happened without our Superior Court judge issuing that injunction that we got. As far as the federal court, yes, we have a consent order there to negotiate with the Army Corps. As you know, the federal court, you were there, that judge was pretty much pro-Army Corps. Understand that both of these entities have immunities to large extent. So when you say hold harmless, I don't think you're talking about trying to sue them for monetary damages. I think what might have gotten twisted around a little bit is once this drainage system is built, it becomes Margate's project, Margate's responsibility. So in other words, 2 years from now or 10 years from now, we can't call up the Army Corps and say, hey, come on down and fix one of your broken pipes. I mean, that's something we're negotiating now. But I think that's what you're referencing by the hold harmless. Am I wrong? But it's not monetary damages. We're not going to get those.
No, it goes beyond that, I guess, Scott, and certainly I'm not the expert, but my concern is that if there is something else beyond drainage, and don't ask me what it is.
Dan, we always have that
Yeah.
option to go back
Yeah.
to court. I think that, again, the Superior Court of New Jersey's been phenomenal as far as I'm concerned. You know, no one that I'm aware of along the Jersey coast has been as successful in litigating these things as Margate has. If you go up and you down this coast and you look at the other towns
Everybody's
that
lost.
fought this, we are, and so,
Well,
because
yeah, the
initially they
citizens
weren't
forced
doing
the
a
issue.
drainage system. They weren't going to do it. It's millions of dollars more. And now I believe it's I don't think we're going to spend any money on it, but that's where we're going. And yeah, we're meeting again with them tomorrow. We meet with them and talk to them constantly. We're well aware that there's still issues. Believe me, my wife makes sure I know because she's very upset about this as well,
Right.
as I am, as we all are. So I think we're making progress. Though.
Is Judge Bum, is she still interested in her order to have things pumped out quickly?
Well,
to have fencing
yes.
put up quickly? And
Yes.
is the Army complying
I
with
believe-
her request?
Yeah, well,
Not-
they
not
do have
totally.
pumps there. I don't know as quickly as we'd like it to be.
Yeah.
But they do have pumps. I saw them again this morning.
Mhm.
Pumps. So we know they have pumps.
Right.
We know they're doing it. Again, and I think it was your cousin
Yes.
made a good point. I think our best move here is to get them out of here as soon as possible. That's really our greatest move. Just let
Yeah.
them finish and go.
Well, they seem to be hanging out and having a good
They
time.
just like Margate,
Yeah.
like everybody else.
Yeah.
We can't get rid of them.
There's some reason
Right.
for that.
Hey,
Okay.
Dan,
It's been a beautiful September. I wish we could have had some more.
Dan, we all do, Dan.
Thank you for the extra time this afternoon. I really appreciate it.
Dan, your
Thank you,
3
guys.
minutes are up.
May I amend something I said?
Amend? You may, Mrs. Charney, come on.
I want to change what I said about the outfall pipes. Brunswick Avenue has never flooded. My end of Margate does not flood. Therefore, I will change what I'm saying and say the outfall pipes have to go where the flooding has always been. And I believe it's farther up in Margate, Upper Margate. And some of the blocks around Franklin perhaps flood. But our beach is set back so far, Brunswick Avenue, it's set back much farther. I don't see any point in why an outfall pipe would be placed there.
It wouldn't be.
Well, that's the one that they.
I think the one there is temporary, right, Ed?
Yeah, what
Yeah.
you, what
Well,
you,
they
s-
quote that as being one of the permanent places.
We'll
up
keep,
there.
No,
Mrs.
no,
Charney, we'll
no.
keep that in mind as
Yes,
this thing
okay.
develops.
Okay, fine. And was there not a decision by both judges that the work had to be done in a timely fashion? I'd like you
Yes.
to look back at the,
We'll take another look at that aspect of it.
because I
We'd like
believe
to
that was
constitute
part of
time.
it, one of the judgments, and it's not being done in a timely fashion.
That's,
Okay?
thank you.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Come on.
Steve Warner, 103 North Sumner Avenue. Are all the Gottliebs finished now? No. A point of order, Mayor. Now, I see you got the clock moving, okay? I've been cut off in mid-sentence many times. Mr. Catelli's been cut off in mid-sentence, okay? If you're going to let some people speak, and this is nothing personal to you people, okay? If you're going to let them speak as long as they want, then you should let me speak as long as I want, okay? I don't think it's right. I think it's not fair, okay? That's number one. You have anything to say to that? No?
Continue, Steve.
Okay. So we'll remember that the next time when I respect the rules and I stop at 3 minutes, okay?
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Number two, I want to say, and I said this before, okay, if you guys are successful in getting this drainage problem solved, the beach block drainage problem, which I've talked about before, which the city's had for 100 years at least, because it was never done right to begin with, if you succeed in getting that done, and paid for by the federal government or the state government or whoever, and we don't have to pay for it, I think you did a great job, okay? And you did a terrific service to the city of Margate. That's number two. And, you know, this, that, or what have you, guarantee it, schmarantee it, it's going to be 100% improvement of what it is now, maybe 200% improvement. So I think you did a great job, and all three deserve a commendation for that, and I don't give very many commendations, I think, as you all know. All right.
Do we get Christmas presents?
Well said.
More time?
And actually, I hate to say it, but I'm going to have to say you did a good job too, John, Scott. You did. Yeah. And I hate to say that. It pains me to say that. The next thing I'm going to say that Maury did a good job, and that would really pain me. Okay. And the third thing that I have to say is I'm going to have to go ahead and agree with Mr. Sewell as far as cutting down the workforce in the city after the sword of Damocles descends upon some of the public employees, okay? And I think it's time to rethink the staffing in any number of departments, and it's time to winnow the herd, as it were, and to more right side. I don't believe there's even 4,000 people in the city right now. I mean, does anybody have any accurate census? I doubt there's even 4,000 people.
6,600.
Yeah, right. That was in 2010. Okay? Nobody knows.
They do it periodic up there.
It's not 6,600. Okay? No, like I said, maybe it's 4. It doesn't matter. Okay? There are overstaffed, and I think it's a good idea to make a deal with Ventnor any way we can. Okay? With the fire department, it's time to winnow the herd. We don't need so many people. And
Continue on, Steve.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate that. It's a matter of respect, okay? No, really. I just right in the middle of a sentence, you cut me off sometimes, in the middle of a thought. Okay, that's all. I just take umbrage with that.
I really wanted to cut you off before the sentence
I
began.
bet you did. So the point is,
How's that?
that's
Is that better?
yeah, like I'm treated like a white man or something. Or whatever. Look, and I'm not going to, you know what? When we saluted the flag, I didn't take a knee either. Okay? I didn't take a knee.
Thank you, Steve.
All right, so let's consider the staffing. Thank you.
It is.
Unacceptable,
Glenn, name and address.
Glenn Klotz, 118 North Barclay Avenue. I didn't mean to speak today, I just came to listen, but after listening to Dan's comments, I thought it important to address the commission. I think I know what Dan's alluding to about something wrong. I think what's wrong is pretty obvious. These guys designed the project to work with a certain kind of drainage. I mean, they told us. They said, right, that they wanted a wide drainage area. It was going to be absorbed. And then they built it that way, and it didn't work. Now, the result that we're left with is a failed design. And it's failed on two ways, okay? I think we're all in agreement. First, let's talk about the thing that they can fix. They can fix the street end flooding. We all know that. We've known that for 50 years. That's nothing new, okay? Great, they're going to pay for it. But that's not going to fix all the problem. And when I first spoke here, I think a month ago, I said, we have another problem. They graded the thing wrong. It's pitched towards the bulkhead. That hasn't changed. And something worse. They built the damn thing close to the ocean. Now, I live on Barclay Avenue, and I'm sure you gentlemen have seen that the beach, we're not even a month into this thing, and we've already lost, I don't know, 40% of what they pumped in front of the berm, or the rise, or the dune, whatever you want to call it. The beach is already eroding back rapidly. Okay, now it was going to do that. I understand it's going to redistribute. I've watched the project for years, as we all have, and we know that process is underway. But here's the problem. They built it wrong in that end of town, hoping that that drainage was going to work. It didn't work. The thing should be back near the bulkhead the way it is further down the beach. I think at Nassau, okay, where it's 20 feet off. Okay, that was, I think, the original plan. Maybe I'm wrong, but in the original designs, they said they were going to build this thing as close to the bulkheads as they could. Why? So they wouldn't mess up our usable beach. And that's the way it was designed and built in the 90s when the city did it. And those areas that survived because they were back. Now what these guys are doing is they're building this thing in the middle of our beach. A lot of our beaches are ending up behind the thing, pitched and worse. And here's my question to all of you, and I think it has to be put to the Army if you already haven't put to it, and I worried about this last time. If that thing breaches, okay, we got the streets taken care of. You know, it rains, goes into the drains, I see all that, goes to the outfalls. But it's not going to work from the beach. If that thing fills up with seawater, where's the plan? How do we get that out of there? The design isn't working. It's in the middle of the beach. We're going to end up with no usable beach in a lot of areas eventually. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Michael Fishbein. I live at 106 South Barclay. My comments will be brief. It seems to me that we're all dealing with a lot of uncertainty here. We're dealing with a beach project that's failed. It seems to me like a big experiment gone wrong. We're now proposing to replace it with something. People here have a lot of concerns about whether there'll be any beach left, will the system work, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not advocating that Margate refrain from going ahead with the Army Corps, but I do think there ought to be some provision in whatever agreement you're negotiating in which you require the responsible parties on the other side to stand behind whatever they do, to give you a warranty of some kind against these consequences. What if this system doesn't work, the new system that you propose to replace or that is being proposed to replace the old system? I think that that's entirely possible. I think this is just a big, stupid experiment. And if you don't require that they stand behind what they are proposing and it fails, what do we do then? And if you do require that they stand behind it in some enforceable fashion, in some court, either federal, state, or both, at least you can go back to court and request an injunction and say, Army Corps, come back here within X number of months, days, weeks, whatever, and fix this. Our beach is gone, Army Corps, come back here and fix this. I don't think Margate should assume that risk unless you have engineers who have a very, very large professional liability policy and that are helping you with this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, Carol Arman, 4 Dolphin Drive. I agree with both of the previous gentlemen, and because everyone knows I'm the beach walker, I go from end to end of Margate, and I have seen what's been happening. On my beach at Huntington Avenue, it's being eroded, terribly eroded. I look at the pier every day from when they started. In the beginning, at high tide, there was no water under the pier. Now, at low tide, there's water under the pier. So the beach is going. When we had the bad, really strong high tides, there was no beach in front of my house. You could not get to the beach, go down the steps because the water, and there was no rain event at that point. My question is, what do we do? This is not a drainage problem from street water. The water, I see it every day, it's coming up from the ground in front of Dolphin Drive, in front of Huntington Avenue. It perks up. It hasn't rained in 2 weeks. It's soggy, wet, never dries out. It's yucky to walk through. It sticks to your shoes, and it doesn't dry. Now, the drainage system that they're proposing is not going to help that at all. My question to you guys is, when you talk to them, why don't they remediate before they do another new plan? Remediate the damage. And I had thought that Judge Baum had said they can't leave the beach in worse shape than before. Well, it is in worse shape. What about remediating before they continue the project? These ditches in the back have to be fixed. And it's true what Glenn said, that the dune should have been built closer. In front of my beach, it is only probably 20 feet, but the water is just coming up from the ground. Huntington Avenue, you can't walk down where that deck is to go to the beach. It's just a swampy, yucky mess. And it's not from rain. It hasn't rained in weeks. And this has got to be remediated before they continue on with a failed project. I talked to these guys, they're workers, I know. I said, what are you doing? We don't know. We just wait. We just wait. They have no idea what they're doing. We just wait. And as far as the equipment on top of the dunes and the trucks, and from Huntington Avenue to Iroquois Avenue, that equipment's been there since July 10th. They've moved some of it, but it's been there, and they work every day. Now they're doing some carpentry work. But my question to you is there any way we can get them to remediate this before they continue building the failed project?
Mayor, may I, through you?
Sure.
Carol, the situation that exists now, what you call the ditch, is below what the scuppers in the street are. So you have to have an area, we're trying to prevent the streets from flooding landward of the bulkhead. So it's a temporary situation. You see the stockpiles, if you on Iroquois.
Stones.
No, you see the stockpiles of the white sand on Lancaster Avenue. There's a huge pile.
Right.
It's about 5 foot higher than where you stand in that ditch. That sand was placed there so that after the permanent system's in, they'll bring everything back to its original grade. It's something that's a temporary situation that we have to live through until a permanent drainage system is erected. It's unfortunate we have it. That's why there's pumps. There's 42-inch outfall pipes that go through the dune, which will be removed.
Oh, they're going to take those big things
Yeah,
out.
they're just temporary. They're
But
plastic.
that gives them something to do
Everything
because
that's
they block it
permanent
off
will
and
be-
open it up.
Everything that's permanent will be ductile iron pipe. It's a total different thing than what you see now. So this situation allows the street ends to drain
Okay.
and allows that water to hopefully get out to the ocean if we don't have full moon high tides. So that's the answer for
So
your
it just will
question.
keep perking up until, yeah.
They have to keep it below the elevation of the scuppers.
Okay, my other question is, because we've lost so much beach of the filled, and we're getting coves now instead of a straight beach line, we go in and out. I know that nature will take care of that. But what happens on these high tide days, which we always get, end of August, September, when there really will be no beach? Because if it can come up as far as the dune around Huntington Avenue, which it did day after day, the beach is unusable. Can the city do anything? I mean, do we just have a dune that we can't walk on, sit on? what happens when we lose beach? And it's inevitable, we're gonna lose this beach, it's inevitable. They've lost it in Ventnor, I go up there every day to the Ventnor Pier, they've lost probably 50 feet.
Okay.
So what happens when we're just left with the dune?
We'll ask, at our next meeting, Carol, we'll ask them about that. Okay?
Yeah,
We'll get
I
back.
mean, can they remove it so we do have a
We will.
beach?
Okay.
Because let's face it, Margate is a beach community, and you're talking about real estate values. If there were no beach here, the real estate values would be nothing. So,
Great. Okay. Thanks, Carol.
My name is Robert Block. I'm at 4 North Brunswick Avenue, and my question is about the access over the dunes, or to the dunes and over the dunes. They were stamped down originally, and they're doing it now in Ventnor. And Ventnor has really easy access now to the beach. But the problem is that the sand is blown onto this stamped down area, and people who are disabled or people who are elderly will have, And I'm in good shape. I'm 74, but I'm in good shape. I can get over it with hardly any problem. But people who are older or disabled will have a tremendous problem. All I want to find out if anything's going to be done about that.
At the top of my list for tomorrow's meeting, Mr. Block. I have very major concerns about that also. Anyone else?
Hello, gentlemen. Loretta Greenwood, 104 South Barclay. Hope I don't go over my 3 minutes. I agree with that about I know a lot of people that have had to stop going to the beach because of bad knees, bad back, and can't hike over all of that, carrying a chair and whatnot. Secondly, I was late for the meeting, and I want to know what this hold harmless means. That's one thing. We can get back to that. Secondly, this whole system is antiquated. When I talked to Dave Rosenblatt, I think he was from the DEP, am I right? Dave was from the DEP or the Army Corps, whichever he was from. Okay, and he came to my home and all that when we had a meeting. You know, it's antiquated, and we see it now. It's failed, and the whole thing is just a disaster. And I wish we could go back and have them do something that I realize this was the most cost-efficient way for them to do it. But man, does it seem like a total waste of money. I mean, it's going to wash out and just constantly be replenished with any northeaster or anything that comes. Now, as far as this outfall drainage system, does hold harmless mean that they're going to take care of this forever and we're not going to have to maintain these pipes or whatever costs are involved in all this? And how does that affect us? How is that going to affect us as taxpayers down the line? I mean, a lot of people worry about their taxes going up to maintain all this stuff. Mike?
There will be some, as there is now, Loretta, as we maintain our beaches, we will have to maintain our beaches after this is all over.
At our cost?
At some cost, yeah.
So that's going to affect our taxes and raise our taxes?
Not necessarily. We haven't gotten to that point yet.
No, we haven't, but more than likely it probably will. Okay, all right. So the hold harmless, what exactly does that mean? You don't hold them?
We have no idea because
We have no idea.
we haven't even talked about that.
That's never been in any discussion we've been involved with.
Okay, well, Mr. Gottlieb mentioned something about, I thought.
Okay, and after the meeting, you can ask Mr. Gottlieb.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Thanks.
Hi, Patty Lees, 8203 Atlantic Avenue. My question is, obviously, we're going to be stuck with these dunes unless there's some act of nature that takes them away. With regard to that, I live on the corner, Hanover and Atlantic, and the other house is Huntington and Atlantic. We use that senior citizens, the deck that's part of the Green Acres Park, you have the ramp. And if you're handicapped right now, you cannot go up and sit there and see the ocean because the dune is so high. I mean, it's actually really hot there, too. My question is, What will happen with that deck? I mean, will that be something that we would have to apply to Green Acres for to get a refurbish or redo of that, or not? I mean, because it's something that everybody in the community can use. People sit there and have lunch all the time. It's not going to be feasible.
If it's going to be altered in any way, Patty, it would have to be funded in some way, which.
I mean, we don't do
know
it,
what
right,
is, but
Margate? It
I'm
has
not
to-
saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying if.
Okay.
It obviously would have to be funded.
By,
I can't answer that right now.
but you can see that it would be, it's kind of like a waste. I mean, we might as well,
Well, if we have to, we'll deal with it in the future.
after it's all
Okay.
said and done. Just putting it out there because it is something I'm
Oh, yeah,
concerned
I
about.
understand.
Okay.
Thank you. Anyone else? Is there a motion to close public comment?
Mayor Becker, it has been brought to my attention to put something on the public portion of this meeting. May I?
You may.
Okay, a notice had been sent to the municipality from Daniel M. Kennedy, Assistant Commissioner of Water Resource Management today, and it has been asked to be put on record that a public notice of the suspension of harvest of shellfish beds has been deemed dangerous to health, and this applies to the water in Risley Channel, Dock Thoroughfare, Whipperpool Channel, Shelter Island Bay, Lakes Bay north of Margate Bridge, and it has been requested that the suspension of harvest shellfish be continued until further notice.
Thank you. Okay. We have a motion on.
So moved.
Second.
Mayor Becker,
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeo.
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg.
Yes.
Okay. We'll now move on to public comment on the resolutions that are on the agenda. Is there any public comment on those subjects?
I'll make a motion, we close public comment on
Second that
resolutions.
motion.
I'll second it.
Mayor Becker,
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeo.
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg.
Yes.
Johanna, resolutions, please.
May I have a motion for Resolution 169-217?
I'll make that
Author-
motion.
Second.
Mayor Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeo?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg?
Yes.
May I have a motion for Resolution 170-217, authorizing increased expenditure for legal services?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Mayor Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeo?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg?
Yes.
May I have a motion for
Thank you.
Resolution number 171, authorizing payment and claim to Colmar Home Center?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Mayor Becker?
I abstain.
Commissioner Amadeo?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg?
Yes.
May I have a motion for Resolution 172, 2017, authorizing closed session for dune litigation?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Mayor Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeo?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg?
Yes.
Okay. It is 5:04. We are going into executive session to discuss litigation. We will let you know what the result of that executive session is.
Are we going into
Yes.
executive? Are we in executive now?
Yes. We are.
We voted it going?
Yes.
Come out of executive.
Wait a minute, whoa,
I'm
whoa,
sorry.
whoa.
To the vote first.
Go ahead, go.
Okay, we're out of the executive session. It is 6:24. We need a motion to reconvene our public meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Mayor Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeo?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg?
Yes.
Solicitor Abbott, would
The
you?
purpose of the executive session was to review the various terms and conditions of a proposed drainage agreement with the NJDEP. We have created a checklist of a number of items that we're trying to come up with a consensus of the governing body so that when we negotiate with the state, we can come to a final agreement with them. We intend to have a meeting tomorrow with state representatives. That will be the engineers and I believe the commissioner or commissioners. And then we are still working on the draft agreement. And that's really all I have here. I'm not going to get into the specific details of our negotiating points.
Thank you, Scott. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Mayor Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeo?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg?
Yes.
For Richard.